North America. You think you know it, you don't. Somewhere under a Mexican church, there's a pyramid bigger than Giza, and for centuries, no one knew it was even there. An island the size of a continent was named a lie, and the lie worked for 1,000 years. A civilization you were taught vanished? It never did. This isn't the continent from your textbook. It's the one they never finished explaining. 20 facts. One map you're about to see completely differently. Let's begin. Fact 1. The pyramid bigger than Giza. Everyone knows the biggest pyramid on Earth is in Egypt. Everyone is wrong. In the small Mexican city of Cholula, there's a hill. Grass-covered, ordinary looking. Locals built a church on top of it centuries ago without a second thought. That hill isn't a hill. It's the Great Pyramid of Cholula, and by volume, it's the largest pyramid ever constructed on Earth. Built and rebuilt, layer over layer, by different civilizations over more than 1,000 years, until it disappeared under its own jungle. When Spanish conquistadors arrived, they saw nothing but a mound, so they built a Catholic church on the summit to crown their conquest. It's still there today. A church, sitting on top of the largest pyramid on the planet, and for centuries, no one below knew what they were kneeling on. And if a pyramid this size can hide in plain sight, imagine what an entire island could get away with. Fact 2. The island that was named as a lie. Around the year 985, a Norse explorer named Eric the Red was banished from Iceland for manslaughter. He sailed west, found a massive, frozen, inhospitable landmass, and needed settlers to follow him there. So he lied. He called it Greenland. Not because it was green. Over 80% of it is buried under ice more than a mile thick, the second largest ice sheet on Earth after Antarctica. But Greenland sounded like paradise, and the lie worked. People followed him. Here's the twist nobody expects. Greenland isn't even geographically part of Europe. It sits on the North American tectonic plate, the largest island on the planet that isn't classified as a continent. Bigger than Alaska, bigger than Mexico. 1,000-year-old real estate lie, sitting in North America's backyard the entire time. And Greenland isn't the only thing on this continent that's been misjudged. So has its biggest city. Fact 3. The real biggest city in North America. Ask most people to name North America's biggest city, and you'll hear the same answer every time: New York. They're wrong by nearly 6 million people. Mexico City's metro area holds close to 22 million residents, the true heavyweight of the continent. But the real gut punch is what's underneath it. Mexico City is built directly on top of Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire. When Europeans were still living in scattered medieval towns, Tenochtitlan was already a thriving metropolis of roughly 300,000 people, with causeways, canals, and markets that stunned the first Spanish soldiers who saw it. At the time, Madrid was a modest town by comparison. Mexico City was already a megacity, while most of Europe's great capitals were still farmland. Even the name of this continent turns out to be a mistake nobody ever corrected. Fact 4. The man who stole a continent's name. Christopher Columbus never knew he'd found a new continent. He died convinced he'd found a shortcut to Asia. So why is it called America and not Columbia? The answer is an Italian explorer and cartographer named Amerigo Vespucci. After sailing along the coastline of what's now South America, Vespucci realized something Columbus never did. This wasn't Asia. He wrote about it, and his account spread. In 1507, a German mapmaker named Martin Waldseemler was compiling one of the first maps of the New World. Impressed by Vespucci's writings, he used the Latinized feminine form of his first name, America. It was meant for a small region of South America. It stuck. It spread north. The most famous explorer in history didn't even get his name on the map. Names, cities, credit all rewritten by mistake and myth. But this continent doesn't just bend history. It bends physics. Fact 5. One continent, every climate on Earth. Somewhere north of the Arctic Circle, polar bears stalk across sea ice in temperatures that can freeze exposed skin in minutes. That same continent, a few thousand kilometers south, is home to steaming tropical rainforests where it rains nearly every day of the year. North America is one of the only land masses on Earth that contains virtually every climate zone that exists: Arctic tundra, temperate forest, arid desert, endless grassland, and dense tropical rainforest, all stitched into a single stretch of land. It's not one continent, it's every version of Earth's weather compressed into one. And those extremes don't just vary by region. Sometimes they collide in the exact same place. Fact 6: the hottest and coldest extremes on the same continent. On July 10, 1913, in Death Valley, California, the temperature hit 56.7 degrees Celsius, the hottest temperature ever reliably recorded on Earth's surface. Hot enough that the ground itself can burn exposed skin. Now travel roughly 5,000 kilometers north to a tiny outpost called Snag in Canada's Yukon. On February 3, 1947, the temperature there dropped to minus 63 degrees Celsius, cold enough that thrown water turns to ice before it hits the ground. Same continent, a temperature range of nearly 120 degrees Celsius between its two extremes. And in Loma, Montana, nature proved it could do both in a single day, swinging from minus 48 degrees Celsius to plus 9 degrees Celsius in under 24 hours. This is a continent that doesn't just have weather, it has mood swings that could kill you either way. Fact 7: winter to summer in a 2-hour drive. In the contiguous United States, the highest point and the lowest point are separated by just 137 kilometers. Mount Whitney rises 4,421 meters into the sky, the tallest peak in the lower 48 states, capped in snow for most of the year. A short drive away sits Badwater Basin in Death Valley, 86 meters below sea level, a cracked salt flat where the heat can be lethal by midday. You could leave a snowstorm on the mountain and be sweating in a desert basin before lunch, carved by the same violent tectonic forces still quietly reshaping this land today. And those same forces have carved something even stranger along the coastline. Fact 8: the coastline battle nobody expected. Canada holds the world record for the longest coastline of any country on Earth, a staggering 243,000 kilometers, shaped by more than 52,000 islands. Walk it at a steady pace, and it would take you roughly 30 years to finish. But Alaska isn't backing down. This single U.S. state has a coastline longer than every other American state, combined more than 53,000 kilometers when you count its 2,600 plus named islands. Two giants on the same continent competing for a record most people don't even know exists. If the surface can bend records this hard, imagine what's been hiding beneath it. Fact 9: the sinkholes the Maya believed were doorways to the underworld. Beneath the Yucatan Peninsula, the ground is quietly collapsing, and it has been for thousands of years. The peninsula sits on a foundation of limestone, riddled with hollow underground rivers and caves. When a section of that ceiling finally gives way, it reveals a cenote, a natural sinkhole pool of impossibly clear water. Sunlight beaming straight down like a spotlight. To the ancient Maya, these weren't just water sources. They were sacred, believed to be literal gateways to Xibalba, the underworld. Rituals, and at times sacrifices, were performed at their edges. Today, people swim in them for fun. For the people who first found them, stepping into that water meant stepping toward the land of the dead. The underground isn't the only place this continent has been quietly glowing with secrets. Fact 10: the bay that glows when you touch it. Imagine dipping your hand into the ocean at night and watching the water light up around your fingers like liquid starlight. In Mosquito Bay, off the coast of Vieques, Puerto Rico, this isn't a special effect. It's biology. The water here is dense with microscopic organisms called dinoflagellates. And when disturbed by a paddle, a fish, or a human hand, they emit a brilliant blue-green glow as a defense mechanism. Every ripple leaves a glowing trail behind it, fading slowly back into darkness, like the ocean itself is breathing light. It looks like science fiction. It's just tiny organisms fighting for survival and accidentally creating one of nature's most magical illusions. Not every mystery on this continent has such a clean explanation. Fact 11: the rocks that moved on their own for decades. In a remote, bone-dry lake bed in Death Valley called Racetrack Playa, There are rocks, some weighing over 300 kilograms, that leave long trails carved into the cracked earth behind them. Nobody ever saw them move. For decades, this baffled scientists. No footprints, no machinery, no wind strong enough to explain it. The real answer, after a rare winter rain, a thin sheet of ice forms overnight. As it melts and fractures under the sun, it breaks into floating panels, and a gentle push from the wind is all it takes to slowly, silently drag the rocks across the slick mud below. Mystery solved. But knowing the science doesn't make it any less eerie to picture a 300-pound rock, alone in the desert, quietly finishing a journey nobody witnessed. Not every strange formation on this continent started as a mystery, though some started as a mistake. Fact 12, the alien-looking fountain born from a mistake. In Nevada's Black Rock Desert stands something that looks like it belongs on another planet. Fly Geyser, a surreal, multicolored cone erupting with steaming water. It shouldn't exist at all. In the 1960s, a geothermal energy company drilled into the earth here, struck a pocket of superheated water, and failed to properly seal the well afterward. Mineral-rich water began escaping continuously, building up layer by layer into the strange cone that stands there today. The colors come from thermophilic algae, heat-loving microorganisms that thrive in the scalding runoff and paint the geyser in shades of red, green, and orange. A human mistake, abandoned and forgotten, quietly grew into one of the strangest natural wonders in North America. Fact 13, the lake that turns into a painting every summer. Hidden in British Columbia's Okanagan Valley is a lake that, for most of the year, looks completely ordinary. Then summer arrives. As the heat intensifies, much of Spotted Lake's water evaporates, leaving behind hundreds of mineral-dense pools packed with magnesium sulfate, calcium, and sodium sulfate. Depending on concentration, these pools turn vivid shades of green, blue, and yellow. It's been considered sacred by indigenous peoples in the region for generations, used for centuries for its believed healing properties. By late summer, from above, it doesn't look like a lake anymore. It looks like the earth itself decided to start painting. Nature has been hiding secrets across this continent for thousands of years. But some of the biggest secrets aren't about the land, they're about the people you were taught disappeared from it. Fact 14, the civilization that never actually vanished. If you went to school anywhere in the world, you were probably taught that the Maya civilization mysteriously collapsed and disappeared around 900 AD. That's not what happened. Many great Maya cities were abandoned around that time, likely tied to drought, warfare, and political collapse. But the people themselves never left. Today, millions of Maya descendants still live across Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, and Honduras. Dozens of distinct Mayan languages are still spoken. The Maya didn't vanish into history. History just stopped paying attention to them. And the Maya weren't even the first great civilization on this stretch of coastline to be underestimated. Fact 15, the rubber people, who invented a sport played with human sacrifice. Long before the Maya, and long before the Aztecs, another civilization thrived along Mexico's Gulf Coast between roughly 1600 and 400 BCE, the Olmec. They earned a nickname that sounds almost like a joke, the rubber people. It wasn't a joke. The Olmec were the first known civilization to harvest latex from rubber trees and process it into usable rubber centuries before anyone else on Earth cracked the technique. They're also credited with inventing the Mesoamerican ball game, a brutal, ritualized sport played on massive stone courts. In some versions, losing teams were believed to have faced ritual sacrifice. A civilization remembered today mostly for a nickname, invented rubber, and turned a game into something closer to religion than recreation. Fact 16, the sport that was never just a game. Basketball, baseball, American football, ice hockey, all invented in North America, all now global industries. But the oldest sport on this continent predates all of them by centuries, and it wasn't invented for entertainment. Lacrosse originated among indigenous nations across the eastern woodlands and Great Lakes region. It wasn't a pastime, it was spiritual. Matches could stretch on for days, tied to healing ceremonies and preparation for war. Some nations called it the medicine game. Today, it's a fast, modern professional sport. But its roots reach back to something closer to prayer. And spiritual roots aren't the only thing hiding behind something you consume every day. Fact 17, the accidental origins hiding in your kitchen. Some of the most beloved foods on Earth trace directly back to this continent, and almost none of their origin stories go the way you'd expect. Chocolate was first crafted by the Maya and later the Aztecs from cacao beans, prepared as a bitter ceremonial drink centuries before anyone added sugar. Peanut butter has ancient roots in Aztec and Inca preparations of ground peanuts, but the modern, patented version was created by a Canadian chemist in Montreal in 1884. And the chocolate chip cookie exists because Ruth Graves Wakefield, running a Massachusetts inn in 1938, added chopped chocolate to cookie dough, expecting it to melt. It didn't. The world's most iconic cookie was born from a mistake nobody meant to make permanent. The people never really left, and neither did their fingerprints on this land. And the raw numbers behind this continent barely make sense either. Fact 18. The longest border on Earth, and a continent with no landlocked countries. Somewhere along the US-Canada border, there's a line stretching over 8,800 kilometers, the longest international border between two countries on the planet. It weaves through forests, cuts across the Great Lakes, and jumps oceans to separate Alaska from the Yukon. Here's a number that's even stranger. Every single one of the 23 countries in North America has a coastline. Not most, all of them. Not one country on this entire continent is landlocked. No matter where you stand, the ocean is never more than a journey away. And that same ocean has carved out at least 2 more records nobody sees coming. Fact 19, the lake that acts like an ocean, and the bay that breathes. Lake Superior isn't just the largest freshwater lake on Earth by surface area, it's large enough to swallow every other Great Lake combined, with room left over for 3 more Lake Eries. It's so vast, it generates its own weather systems and violent, unpredictable storms. Meanwhile, on Canada's east coast, the Bay of Fundy performs something even stranger, twice a day. The tides here rise and fall by more than 12 meters, a 4-story building appearing and disappearing on schedule. Over 100 billion tons of seawater move in and out daily, more than the combined flow of every river on Earth. Boats here can sit stranded on dry ground at low tide and float freely a few hours later. The bay doesn't just have tides, it breathes. Fact 20, the butterfly that will never see where it's going. Every year, monarch butterflies begin a migration of nearly 4,800 kilometers, from across Canada and the United States to a small cluster of forests in central Mexico. Here's what makes it almost unbearable. No single butterfly completes that journey. It takes multiple generations to finish the trip. The monarch that begins the migration south dies along the way, and its children continue. In some cases, it's the great-grandchildren who finally arrive in the exact same forests, navigated by instinct alone. No butterfly ever completes the full journey home. They just pass the destination forward, generation after generation, trusting something they can't see toward a place they'll never personally reach. It's hard not to see something deeply human in that. 20 facts. One continent that lied about its name, buried its pyramids, and let the world believe its people vanished, when really they were just waiting to be seen again. So here's the real question. If a place this familiar could hide this much, what else has been standing right in front of you, waiting for someone to finally look? Tell me which fact rewrote your map the most, and subscribe, because the next continent is hiding just as much.